You are tuned in to the LowBand Show, broadcasting from the storm drains under the big city, where a tunnel crew runs this booth on salvaged gear, pipes humming, steady water dripping, piping surface science and tech news on a low-band signal through the drains. I'm your host, Max Hertz. Welcome in. Here's what we do. We take real science and tech news from the surface, summarize it, then go deeper to educate, entertain, and shed light on what's in store for our collective future. News from the net, clear signal, and a little tunnel. If you came for hype, you took a wrong turn at the storm drain.
Welcome in. Max Hertz here, ready for another run through the headlines. Wiz, good to have you in the booth today.
Good to be here, Max. Let's see what's on the board.
We've got a busy slate, starting with the heavy criticism hitting the new Supergirl movie's script and visual effects. From there, we'll pivot to the skies, where Airbus has been ordered to inspect several jets after wing cracks were found. We'll also look at IBM's new push to scale up quantum computing, a California Sheriff's Department using a drone to disarm a suspect, and students turning to smart glasses to cheat on tests. Plenty of ground to cover. Let's get into it. The Onion joked on June 25th, 26, that DC's new Supergirl movie is about saving the world from a collapse of interest in the genre. But real reviews suggest the parody isn't far off. Wiz, is superhero fatigue finally here?
Completely real. When satirists don't even have to exaggerate to make a point, you know the genre is in deep trouble.
The Hollywood Reporter says reviews range from negative to tepid praise. Variety went viral calling it a comic book movie with the worst script I can remember. Critics also bashed the film's poor VFX as muddy CG sludge. Wiz, for listeners who might not know, what exactly is VFX?
It's short for visual effects, basically any imagery created or modified digitally. Here, it sounds like they just used a muddy, gray digital paint job to hide terrible live-action lighting.
The Bulwark agrees, calling the action sequences terribly lit, incoherently staged, and just generally weightless and ugly. They say it's obvious everyone was just standing in a big green screen warehouse. Wiz, is this kind of green screen overuse just a lazy shortcut, or is it bad execution?
It is both. When you shoot in a gray, empty void and hope animators can make a movie out of it later, the action loses all physical weight. It is lazy filmmaking.
The film does have one bright spot in Jason Momoa's Lobo, but Reason calls the rest of it dark, depressive, and dull, and notes Supergirl flat out murders a guy with a giant sword. Wiz, does this shift to miserable violence ruin the character?
Absolutely. Supergirl shouldn't be pushing giant swords through necks. They traded sincerity and fun for cheap, grimdark shock value, leaving the whole film feeling empty and boring.
Whether DC can actually recover from this creative misfire remains highly uncertain. We will see if the next reboot can find its footing. Stay with us. This one made me sit up. The Wall Street Journal reported on June 24, 26, that the European Union Aviation Safety Agency ordered urgent inspections of 16 Airbus A380 Super Jumbo jets after cracks were found in their wings. Wiz, how serious is a wing crack on the world's largest passenger airliner?
It's serious enough that they aren't waiting around. And no, we aren't talking about the outer paint peeling off. We are talking about the primary load-bearing structure of the wing. If those spars degrade, the wing's load capacity drops. It's structural physics, not cosmetic wear.
The directive states, cracks were found during earlier inspections of the wing spars structure, a key component of the wing. EASA determined that they could reduce the structural integrity of the wing. Wiz, for listeners who may not know, what exactly is a wing spar? And why is this could reduce phrasing important?
Think of the wing spar as the main steel beam in a skyscraper's floor, running from the fuselage to the wingtip. If that beam cracks, the whole wing bends more under stress. The phrase could reduce is standard regulatory speak for we aren't waiting for a catastrophe to find out.
The directive states, The first group of 5 aircraft, operated by Emirates, need to be inspected immediately, while the second group of 11 aircraft can be inspected later, but within 25 flight cycles. Wiz, why split them up like this?
Because risk is a function of time and previous flight stress. The first 5 likely have higher flight hours or older maintenance profiles, meaning their risk profile is active right now. A flight cycle is simply 1 takeoff and 1 landing. 25 cycles is a very short leash, essentially a few weeks of regional flying.
Whether these inspections will reveal wider structural issues across the global fleet remains to be seen. We'll be keeping a close eye on the regulators as more data comes in. Stay with us. The fight here is really about whether quantum computing can finally transition from an expensive science project into a scalable business. The Wall Street Journal reported on June 27, 26, that IBM is laying the groundwork to make this technology commercial. Wiz, is this the moment quantum finally becomes practical?
Practical is a high bar, but it is the moment they start treating it like a supply chain problem. They are shifting from lab bench physics to standard semiconductor manufacturing, which is where scale actually happens, when scale actually happens.
Here's the first excerpt. IBM said last month it plans to form a new independent subsidiary called Andron, a foundry to produce the silicon wafers needed to make quantum computing processors. Wiz, for listeners who may not know, what is a foundry in this context?
A foundry is just a specialized factory that manufactures microchips, or in this case, quantum processor wafers for other companies. Think of it as outsourcing the heavy manufacturing, so design companies don't have to build their own billion-dollar clean rooms.
The WSJ report continues. The venture is seeded by a $1 billion investment from the Trump administration and another $1 billion of IBM's own cash. Andron will give the company a new line of business in selling wafers to other quantum computing companies. Wiz, why sell to competitors?
Because building a quantum fab is incredibly risky and expensive. By positioning Andron as the industry's foundry, IBM wins whether their own quantum computers succeed or their competitors do. It is a classic picks and shovels play.
And they are aiming big. The article says Andron will position IBM to capture part of what the Boston Consulting Group projects will be a $90 billion to $170 billion market by 2040. Wiz, is that projection realistic?
14 years is a lifetime in tech. That projection is highly speculative. Boston Consulting Group is projecting a massive range because nobody actually knows what the killer app for fault-tolerant quantum computing is yet. It is mostly model-driven hype.
The report says IBM will spend $9 billion over 5 years to build a quantum computer capable of fault tolerance by 2029, named Starling. Wiz, what's the significance of fault tolerance here?
Fault tolerance is the holy grail. Right now, quantum processors are incredibly noisy and prone to errors from temperature changes or stray electromagnetic fields. Without error correction, which is what fault tolerance means, these machines are just very expensive random number generators.
Whether IBM can actually manufacture these processors at scale and hit their target remains highly uncertain. Stay with us. This headline sounds like a movie scene, but let's see what actually happened. SFGate reported on June 22, 2026, that a California sheriff's office is claiming a nationwide first, disarming a suspect using a police drone. Wiz, is this real tactical innovation or just a viral stunt?
Oh, it's definitely staged for social media engagement. They literally edited the video to the theme of Mission Impossible. Let's look at the actual physics of this quote-unquote disarming. They used a magnet on a string to pull a knife away from a guy who wasn't even moving.
Here's the Sacramento County Sheriff's claim. Their drone successfully disarmed a felon by dangling a magnet that caught on the knife, then pulling multiple times until it comes out of the unmoving suspect's hand. Wiz, how practical is dangling a magnet in a real standoff?
It's highly impractical. If the suspect is actually active and combative, a dangling magnet is just a toy. But they are using this high-visibility stunt to rebrand what the state legally classifies as military equipment. It's clever public relations, not a revolution in tactical policing.
The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department reported this month on a drone as first responder pilot program in Yucaipa. According to their release, drones have already been used to respond to over 100 calls for service, arriving before deputies for 71% of them. Wiz, for listeners who may not know, what is a DFR program?
Instead of waiting for deputies to arrive, a DFR setup launches a drone from a central location immediately when a call comes in. Arriving first 71% of the time is impressive. But here's the catch. We still don't know what assistance actually means.
The report notes that the drones also contributed to 12 arrests, assisted in locating persons of interest on 37 occasions, though details on how they assisted the police are unclear. Wiz, how should we evaluate these metrics?
We shouldn't. Assisted is an incredibly soft metric. We don't know if the drone actually located the person or just hovered nearby during the arrest. Until we get clear standards on what constitutes drone assistance, these numbers are mostly department marketing.
Whether these drone-first programs actually make policing safer or just create a surveillance dragnet remains to be seen. Stay with us. The headline warns of high-tech cheating. Let's see what the reporting actually reveals. CNN reported on June 27th, 26, that students are using AI smart glasses to cheat. Wiz, educators are in a scramble, and CNN notes in East Asia's test-obsessed societies, where a single exam could impact the trajectory of a student's future career, educators are scrambling to get ahead of the problem.
It is the classic technological arms race. In environments where exams dictate your entire life, the incentive to cheat is absolute. If a device gets smaller, students will use it. High stakes meet low friction tech.
The physical response is already massive. The report notes, for China's grueling annual college entrance exam earlier this month, authorities required screening of all glasses. Wiz, what technology is actually under the hood here?
They are miniature computers in everyday eyewear. Unlike older tech, these run compact AI models directly on the device with independent wireless connection. They process information right on your face, no phone required.
Exactly. And the trend is spreading globally. The article reports, in the United Kingdom, the head of England's exam watchdog warned that AI glasses and smart devices like earpieces could worsen cheating. Wiz, how do educators even fight this?
They can't reliably police it. When the cheating tool looks identical to a medical necessity, traditional proctoring breaks down. It forces schools into intrusive screenings or complete bans, which is a logistical nightmare.
The long-term outlook is even more disruptive. Researcher Thomas Corbin warned, wearable AI is as much of a challenge to exams as ChatGPT was to essays in 2022, and I just don't think there is any real way that we can reliably have exam practices moving forward. Wiz, is the exam hall dead?
It is on life support. If you cannot verify that a student is relying solely on their own memory, the traditional exam model collapses. The technology is simply outrunning the room.
Whether schools can find a way to secure testing environments against wearable AI remains to be seen. Stay with us. All right, that is our board for today. We've covered a wide range of territory, from fictional misfires to very real structural and technical challenges. We looked at the creative struggles over at DC. A shift to darker violence has left the franchise's future highly uncertain. Then we turned to Airbus, where wing crack inspections on Emirates jets have regulators watching for wider structural issues across the fleet. On the tech front, IBM is laying down a $9 billion bet on fault-tolerant quantum computing by 2029, though scaling that hardware remains a massive question mark. Meanwhile, police drones in California are disarming suspects, raising the stakes in the ongoing debate over community safety versus a surveillance dragnet.
Finally, we saw how AI-powered smart glasses were threatening the traditional exam hall, leaving schools scrambling to secure testing environments against wearable tech. There are deep questions of scale, trust, and security across all of these stories. We will be monitoring how they develop. We've got more build and science threads lined up for the next session, so keep your skepticism calibrated and we'll pick up the signals as they come.
It's certainly a lot to consider. If we missed an angle or you have further questions on these topics, please drop us a comment. We read them down here in the tunnel. And if this signal helped you stay informed, a like or subscribe keeps the pipes humming. More surface news and deeper dives are coming through the grate soon. Until then, stay curious, and we'll catch you next time on the Low Band Show.